The 1992 Breeders' Crown Series opens tonight with 4 defending champions at Canada's Mohawk Raceway. In the mare pace, Delinquent Account scored a timely victory a year ago, but she'll be hard-pressed to do it again. She faces 2-time Breeders' Crown champion Town Pro, who owns 2 track records and definitely has the home field advantage. But the favorite in the group will certainly be Shady Daisy, who not only has dominated her division this year, but has set a world record in the process. The star pupil in the mare trot class is the spectacular Peace Corps. The 3-time Breeders' Crown champion skipped the series last year, but now guns for her 4th title. Peace Corps' competition should come from Me Maggie, who trotted home strongly to win last year's mare trot. The 2-time Crown champion hasn't won a race since last year, but don't count her out. In the horse trot, 2 of Canada's finest go head-to-head. Billyjojimbob is the defending titleist and concluded his 4-year-old season with a stirring victory over a field of 11 in the Breeders' Crown. This year he picked up where he left off and even took it to another level, winning the Elitloppet in Sweden. There was, however, one bump in the otherwise smooth year for Billyjojimbob when he was involved in a frightening accident in the international trot. Still, he's returned to form. His arch rival, No Sex Please, another former Crown champion, is entering the race on a high after upsetting Billyjojimbob in a free-for-all trot last week. The horse pace is the grand finale of the night and boasts a field with solid credentials. Cam Luck hopes to be as fortunate as last season when he scored successfully. But he'll be all out to hold off Artsplace, the #1 harness horse in North America, with a perfect 14 for 14 record this year. Up next, the Breeders' Crown, where champions will be challenged. The Toronto Blue Jays aren't the only sports story in town. We're just 25 miles west of downtown Toronto at Mohawk Raceway in Campbellville, Ontario, Canada, as we present harness racing's ultimate year-end competition, the Breeders' Crown. $1.3 million up for grabs tonight, as 30 trotters and pacers will go postward in 4 different races. The richest races of the night, the horse trot and the horse pace. It is a chilly night in Ontario with temperatures plummeting to 45 degrees and a stiff wind kicking up from the southwest at 20 to 25 miles per hour. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to the start of the Breeders' Crown season for 1992. The Breeders' Crown is the ultimate year-end challenge. This year, once again, horses will be vying for divisional and Horse of the Year honors. We've got 12 different races, which will be contested over 3 different race states, and they will be broken down, divided by the traditional categories of age, gender, and gait. We start things off tonight with 4 races for older trotters and pacers. Working with me, my broadcast partner, Gary Seibel. And Gary, when you talk about the pacing side of tonight's activity, many intriguing stories.
Absolutely, and a couple of splendid matchups on the pacing side of things tonight, Bruce. In the mare pace, world champion Shady Daisy is unquestionably at the head of her class. She has indeed dominated her female foes this season, and her rare losses have come at the hands of her male counterparts and only at the hands of some of the biggest and baddest boys in the land. Now, one of those bad boys has been so good, he's been perfect. He's Artsplace. He's 14 for 14, and he is absolutely superb. He's a lock for the Horse of the Year, and he's going to be great in this matchup, but he's going to be tested as well.
Now, another member of our broadcast team has been around the sport for the past 46 years. He's Harness Hall of Famer Stan Bergstein. And Stan, on the trotting side, we've got one of the greatest distaff trotters of all time.
We have, but without being crass, the story of the trot tonight, both for females and males, is money. Peace Corps, of course, who is the undisputed queen of trotters, is closing in on $5 million and is the richest harness horse of all time, regardless of sex, regardless of gait. On the trotting male side, there are 2 horses that prove, I suppose, that lightning can hit young people as well as old people. Billyjojimbob, who was named for the characters in the Walton TV strip, and No Sex Please, who was named for the English hit play No Sex Please, We're British, represent very young owners. In the case of Billyjojimbob, he has won $902,000 for Laurie and Mike Wade in their late 20s. In the case of No Sex Please, he has won $1,600,000 for 27-year-old Ron Waples Jr. So I suppose what it proves is that you need to be young, you need to be alert, you need to be knowledgeable, you need to be skillful, and you certainly need to be lucky.
We've got 4 defending champions tonight, 5 millionaires, the fastest harness horse of all time, and also the richest harness horse of all time, and the likely winner of Horse of the Year honors. It should be a spectacular night of racing. Where the city meets the country, Campbellville, Ontario, Canada, Mohawk Raceway. They're getting set to come out on the track for the Horse and Gelding Trot, which will be our first live race of the evening. And here's a look at the field and the odds right now. Speedy Frazier from the rail at 45-1. No Sex Please, who won the crown in 1990. 17 for 21 in the money this year, 2-1. And you can see that Charlie Tenhitch is 12-1. Improving with trotting guru Ronnie Gurfine now at the controls. Billyjojimbob, 1-5, the prohibitive public choice. He won the Breeders' Crown Horse Trot at 6-1 last year. He has been in the money 16 of 20 times this year. Well, defending Breeders' Crown champion Billyjojimbob has had a marvelous year, including winning the Elitloppet in Solvala, Sweden. But for the sensational 5-year-old trotter, the story hits much closer to home. A matter of fact, not far from right here at Mohawk Raceway in Ontario.
Artsplace is a pole in the stretch. They turn for home. Tudor Scooter a distant second. On the outside, Storm and Jesse third. An incredible performance after carving a front quarter in 26-2, a half in 53-2. Artsplace wins in 1:51, 1/5. There is the world record. There is the fastest 2-year-old pacer in the history.
All right, well, we had the wrong piece for you queued up for that Horse and Gelding Trot. We were talking about Billyjojimbob, who has had a terrific year. 155-2, the lifetime mark taken at the Elitloppet, and certainly a candidate for the divisional honors and getting the public's attention here once again at Mohawk Raceway, looking for his second consecutive Breeders' Crown victory. No Sex Please, a past Breeders' Crown winner who won the Maple Leaf, second to Furman and the Nat Ray also this year. And as I mentioned, Charlie Tenhitch really coming along. He's won his last 2 at Freehold. He won 7 races at 2, including the Peter Houghton, but now getting back at the age of 4 with Ron Gurfine now at the controls. The rest of the field, as you saw earlier, including Speedy Frazier and Super Speedy. All right, right now let's go back to the look at Billyjojimbob, and it's a special story, and it doesn't really take that far away from tonight's venue right here, Mohawk Raceway. His pedigree suggested Billyjojimbob had very little chance of becoming a successful racehorse. In fact, his mother, Ginger Jewel, never had a foal make it to the races. But by the end of his 4-year-old year, Billy Joe had won the Breeders' Crown, which earned him and his owners, Mike and Laurie Wade, a trip to the prestigious Elitloppet in Sweden.
My quarantine time, as far as being allowed on the track, was that morning, and there was people lined up the gate to get into the races at 7:30 in the morning for a 12 or 12:30 post time. And I happened to be out in the track at the same time they opened the gate, and it sent a chill through my bones to see all these people running and screaming, running across the grandstand floor.
Everybody that went by the grandstand, if it was a good horse, it doesn't matter what driver it was, they applauded them and cheered for them. It was great.
Billyjojimbob was the first Canadian horse to win the prestigious Elitloppet in almost a decade.
In the final heat, when he came around the turn and he was still on top and he was still fighting and still there, I couldn't believe it. I was crying by then. I didn't even see what the margin of win was because I was crying so hard. I couldn't see.
Number 4, Billyjojimbob, go Canada, go!
There were so many people came over, and I think they genuinely were happy that we won the race. The fact that there wasn't a Swedish-bred horse in the race. If there was, that might have been a different story. We might not have been their favorite. We weren't actually their betting favorite. They bet Peace Corps down to be the betting favorite. But I think afterwards, and probably before that, a lot of people were really rooting for us.
Billy Joe returned to Canada a hero, and his command performance was to be in New York at the Yonkers International.
I felt good going into the race. We'd had a little bit of bad racing luck the week before at the Meadowlands, and he trained super that week after the race at the Meadowlands, leading up to the Yonkers event. And I couldn't foresee any problems, no. I think they were just past the quarter, and I realized, and I was watching on television at the time, I realized how much of a hold Murray did have on him. And just Murray's posture in the bike, he was leaning back, and the way the horse had his head tucked towards his chest. He has a tendency to go like that because he does. He's a racing type horse. He's sometimes too aggressive, but he looked overly aggressive at that time in the mile. Anyways, I thought, well, gee, something could happen here. It wasn't long before it did.
7-3. That's Billyjojimbob off stride and has fallen. Brendy has unseated the driver.
I just wanted to make sure he was okay, and I couldn't believe that he was like, I've had nightmares of him going down and actually, you know, running out in the track and seeing these, but it actually when it actually happens, you don't know what to do it for. You know what to do, but you can't do it because it's your own horse.
I'm not going to pretend I wasn't thinking about the money. Here's something that's been, you know, it's just like a paycheck every week, and a big paycheck, and all of a sudden, like, he's been good to us. If we have trouble in our lifestyle from now on in, whether he's racing or not, as far as financially, that's our problem.
The Wade's Beautiful Farm in Seagrave, Ontario is the result of many paychecks produced by Billyjojimbob. But more than the money, this horse, who was named for the closing sequence in the Waltons, has influenced his owners the way the Waltons did a nation.
He was a pet in the very beginning. I had him before I had my kids, so I babied him, I spoiled him. And then, you know, once he turned into a racehorse, all the more. But he's still a pet. He's still a big pet.
It's one in the family.
Stan Bergstein, there are a lot of special stories in standardbred racing, but this one is right up there with them.
Well, this couple have been very fortunate, but they did not stumble into this horse. They are both knowledgeable horse people. Laurie was an instructress in the Seneca College horse program. Mike is the son of a horseman. And they have a very unusual background because when they started, they scraped together, they were newlyweds, they just put a down payment on a house. They scraped together $3,000 to pay the stud fee to breed Ginger Jewel to Balanced Image, top horse here in Canada. And then when the horse was 2 years old, they had to come up with another $2,000, which they didn't have, and had to scrape together because he almost died. And they took him to the Guelph Veterinary College, one of the best in North America, just 20 miles down the road here from Mohawk Raceway. They saved him at Guelph. So they put up $5,000. The horse has now won $902,000. Their faith and their fortitude was repaid.
Now, speaking of near tragedy, we saw a look at that incident that happened at Yonkers this year. How frightening is that?
Well, it's extremely frightening, and it could have been a disastrous accident. It looked disastrous, but it was less severe than it appeared. However, the horse came out of it with about 8 or 12 stitches in his shoulder. He's recovered completely, of course, and very, very fortunate because the accident could have been fatal to both horse and to men in that accident, the way it happened.
Billyjojimbob set to go to post here in the horse and gelding trot at Mohawk Raceway. Here's a look at the current odds. No Sex Please is at 4-5. Super Speedy, by the way, at 25-1. He has never broken in his career, never made a break, and he's 8 years old. Billyjojimbob also at 4-5. So those two getting plenty of support. The two rivals going head-to-head tonight in Canada, No Sex Please and Billyjojimbob.
Mine ad, Bruce.
We'll take a short break. We'll come back to the Campbellville, Ontario, Canada Oval in just a moment. There's a look at the elegant Breeders' Crown Trophy. It's a crystal block, and it's engraved with the Breeders' Crown logo. The trophy weighs 40 pounds. The owners get the trophy. Smaller versions of the trophy presented to the winning trainers, drivers, breeders, and stallion nominators of each crown champion. We're just about 4 minutes to post for tonight's horse and gelding trot. And another look at the odds board where No Sex Please is now at even money, and Billyjojimbob is now 3-5. Not much support anywhere else. Bruce Beck along with Gary Seibel and Stan Bergstein. And Gary, one thing you have to say about this upcoming race, it looks like a two-horse race.
Well, indeed it does, Bruce. It appears it's Billyjojimbob and No Sex Please. Billy Joe sports a new look tonight, an open bridle, and owner Lori Wade says that it makes him a more relaxed, a more comfortable horse, and hopefully the equipment change will help avoid the type of mishap that Billyjojimbob suffered in the International Trot. And of course, that was choking down. And No Sex Please beat Billyjojimbob last week very impressively. Now, Charlie Tenhitch indeed may be experiencing a revival under new trainer Ronnie Gerfine, so we could have quite a matchup here.
Stan Bernstein, what about the Canadian influence as we look at this upcoming race?
Canadian owners have been a major influence in North American harness racing, and 4 of the 5 leading money-winning drivers in the Breeders' Crown Series, Ron Waples, Mike LaChance, John Campbell, and Bill O'Donnell, 4 of the 5 are Canadians. However, an interesting statistic is that no Canadian-owned or Canadian-bred horse has ever won a Breeders' Crown in Canada. They've done it in the United States. I think that streak is about to be broken in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
And certainly last year, the dominance of Precious Bunny giving Canada another leg up.
Well, Canada, earlier tonight, I mentioned it in the trot tonight, 6 of the horses, 3 of them were owned in Canada, 3 of them were owned in Europe, only 2 were U.S. horses.
So they're set to go to post in tonight's horse and gelding trot live from Mohawk Raceway. Here's a look at the world record, 155 flat, set by No Sex Please and Express Ride. The Mohawk track record, 156-3, set by Super Timken. $368,100 in this horse and gelding trot at Mohawk. Frank Salive, the track announcer here, will give us the call. It will be a 1-mile race, the trot of the Breeders' Crown.
It's the 10th race, the 1992 Breeders' Crown Championship for trotting horses and geldings through the backstretch. And there they go. They're off and trotting in the center of the track. Out of Ketchup is going to make a bid for the lead. No Sex Please leaving alertly on the inside. Billyjojimbob is off stride on the outside. Through to be third in the early going is Speedy Fraser. Charlie Tenhitch is fourth. And then we're back to Super Speedy. Backstreet Guy and Billyjojimbob is now back down trotting, but is 7th on the first turn. Out of Ketchup has got the lead. No Sex Please is on the inside second. They're past the quarter pole, 27-4. And here comes No Sex Please up on the outside, readying to overtake Out of Ketchup, and No Sex Please takes over in front of the grandstand. 3/8 of a mile complete. Out of Ketchup is back in second. It's a gap of 6 lengths, and Speedy Fraser is third. Charlie Tenhitch is fourth. Super Speedy to the outside 5, then Backstreet Guy and Billyjojimbob. No Sex Please completely in command, passing the half. Out of Ketchup in second in 58 seconds flat. No Sex Please leads him into the backstretch. Out of Ketchup in second. Here comes Charlie Tenhitch up on the outside from third. Speedy Fraser is fourth. Super Speedy outside 5. Then Backstreet Guy and Billyjojimbob. Less than 3/8 of a mile to go. Charlie Tenhitch has drawn even with No Sex Please, and they're battling some on the front end. Out of Ketchup taking a pocket trip. Super Speedy on the outside 4th. Billyjojimbob is 3 wide and is 5th on the outside, making a substantial recovery. 3/4 in 1:27-1. They're on the final turn. No Sex Please is the leader at the top of the lane. Out of Ketchup in the pocket. Charlie Tenhitch on the outside, and Billyjojimbob is now on the outside 4th. No Sex Please is trying to close it out. Charlie Tenhitch, Billyjojimbob, and Super Speedy between trotters, but it's all No Sex Please. No Sex Please wins the Breeders' Crown again, 156-4. Charlie Tenhitch was second. Out of Ketchup was third.
So it's No Sex Please, the 7-year-old gelding by Briscoe Hanover out of the Reflective Way mare, Gay Ann Herbert. Won the Breeders' Crown in 1990 in the horse trot at 40 cents on the dollar. Last year finished 5th, and another impressive performance tonight by No Sex Please, owned and trained by Ron Waples and bred by Earl Lennox and driven to victory by Ron Waples. So it's Waples and Waples Jr. combining for the win.
Bruce, you'll see here No Sex Please coming down the lane, and Ron Waples, of course, having driven this horse so many times, knows just what to do, has the rest of the field measured, and comes home an easy winner in the horse trot here. And as you mentioned, No Sex Please last year finishing 5th to Billyjojimbob, and Billy Joe not getting the best of it, making a break in that first turn. No Sex Please picks up his 2nd Breeders' Crown win.
And that's the 8th victory for Ron Waples, as No Sex Please wins the horse and gelding trot at Mohawk Raceway, his 2nd Breeders' Crown triumph. We'll be back in a moment. Well, there's a look at No Sex Please in the money this year, 18 of 22 times, the only millionaire in the field. And he won the crown in 90, and Stan Bergstein, he did it again tonight impressively.
A few years ago, 20 years ago or so, Clint Hodgins, great Canadian driver, was regarded as the best money driver in the sport. When the big money is in line, another Canadian now is in that same role as Hodgins, Ron Waples. And anytime the big money's up, he can be there. Ronnie Gerfine, who trained Charlie Tenhitch, said he wished he had 3 or 4 more starts, and I could see why. That horse is coming around superbly. And here's Ron.
Ron Waples from Mississauga, Ontario. Once again, No Sex Please proves that he is big in big races.
Yeah, he's just a great old horse, I'll tell you, quite a thrill.
Okay, Ron, let me ask you, did you know that Billyjojimbob had made a break in the first turn?
Yeah, I know. I looked over when we were leaving the gate, and I seen he made a break there. It felt really bad for Murray, but that's just the way it works sometimes.
And, of course, the fractions 27 and 4, 58, 127 and 1. You got a little bit of a breather in that middle, just about a minute in the 2 middle fractions there. We're going to take a look in just a second. 56 and 4, pretty impressive mile on a night like this, fairly cold. Let's take a look at it now as they move around the turn. Here we're turning for home, and you are pretty much in command here.
Yeah, the old horse, he felt real good here. You know, anybody could have maybe come along and beat him, but he just felt real strong and felt real good the whole way, really.
Ron, it's tough for a horse to be this good for an entire year, but when you look at the numbers that No Sex Please had this year, 18 for 22 in the money, I mean, that's a remarkable achievement.
I think the people that deserve all the credit there is Stephanie, his caretaker, and Ron Jr. I mean, they just do an excellent job with this horse.
So once again, it's a Waples family tradition.
A great feeling.
And an excellent mile tonight by No Sex Please, who turned in a great mile last week as well.
Yeah, he was real good last week. Randy drove him last week and said he raced just excellent.
It looked like he had quite a bit of trot coming to the wire. He drew off by about 3-4 lengths.
Yeah, around the turn, got another little breather with him there, and they had the lane I asked him to go, and he just trotted on home all on his own.
Ron, congratulations on another victory, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you very much. Big thrill.
Ron Waples, the winning driver of No Sex Please. Here are the returning prices. No Sex Please, $4, $2.60, and $3.10. Charlie Tenhitch was up for second, $8.80 and $5.30. Was very game for the mile because he was first over, and Out of Ketchup was third, $8. Time of the mile, 1:56 and 4. Stan Bergstein, your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's nice to have a 27-year-old son you can borrow money from. This takes this horse's earnings almost to $2 million.
So it's No Sex Please, and the battle between the two, No Sex Please and Billyjojimbob. And once again, the Waples family comes up big. We'll take a short break and return to Mohawk. We're at Mohawk Raceway, the 9th year of the Breeders' Crown Series. This is the first of 3 race evenings this fall, and it has started out in impressive style in Campbellville, Ontario at Mohawk Raceway. Well, ESPN continues its thoroughbred coverage with its series Budweiser Racing to the Breeders' Cup. Sunday, October 11th, 4 p.m. live, the Spinster Stakes. Friday, October 16th at 10:30 p.m., the Meadowlands Cup. And Sunday, October 18th at 4 p.m. live, it's the Budweiser International. Great thoroughbred action on ESPN. And speaking of action, there was lots of action earlier tonight in the Breeders' Crown. Now we've got some competition involving the mare Pace and the mare Trot. Right now, let's go back and check out the field for tonight's mare Pace, and let's also check in on the post-time odds of that Breeders' Crown race. Number 1, Shady Daisy, 1-9, the public's choice, the uncrowned queen who has dominated her division. And Delinquent Account getting some play as well at 8-1, the defending crown champion in the mare Pace. We pick it up at the half-mile pole with Shady Daisy comfortably in front.
Shady Daisy for Ron Pierce has been the leader since the quarter pole. Sarah Loren rode in second, 3/8 of a mile to go, and Delinquent Account shows up on the outside third. Moffy is fourth. Yankee Coed in the passing lane fifth, and then another 2 lengths back in sixth. Tammy Faye, Bluegrass, Celebrity Girl, and Town Pro. It's all Shady Daisy now by 2 lengths over Sarah Loren Road at 3/4 in 1:25, issuing the 28-2 statement in the backstretch, and Shady Daisy with her tail well flowing out behind her. Now in high flight at the top of the stretch, Shady Daisy looking for her first Breeders' Crown victory and is pouring it on. The battle is for place. Moffy coming to Sarah Loren Road, down to the wire. Shady Daisy for Ron Pierce wins the Breeders' Crown in 1:53 and 2. Moffy was second. Sarah Loren Road was third.
Shady Daisy capping a brilliant season, and here are the returning prices. There was no show wagering. Shady Daisy returning $2.30 and $2.10. Moffy second, $2.20. Sarah Loren Road finished third in the time of the mile, 1:53 and 2.
Ron Pierce up on the bike behind this talented mare. You know, Bruce, Shady Daisy's trainer, Louis Boslaw, had a real good feeling that he had a tough filly when Daisy was just a 2-year-old. Last year at 3, she was the fastest pacing filly of 91, 151 world record. Now at 4, Breeders' Crown win to her credit in her first start in the series, and just shy of $1 million in earnings.
Now we move to the mare trot, and here was the post-time odds with Peace Corps, the prohibitive favorite at 1-9, the 3-time Breeders' Crown champion. Me Maggie, who won back-to-back crowns, getting some support at 13-1, and Ebonita Hanover at 18-1. Now we pick it up near the half-mile pole. Peace Corps in perfect striking position on the outside. Here's track announcer Frank Salib.
And on the lead still by 3/4 of a length is Roe Julie. Peace Corps is methodically closing in on the outside second. Less than 3/8 of a mile to go. Lady Orbitex in third. Keystone Santa Fe is getting its second over on the outside fourth. Me Maggie to the outside 5. Warrowe Kira sixth at the rail. Then Ebonita Hanover and Lumax Review. Roe Julie is still holding off Peace Corps by a head at 3/4 in 1:28 and 3. The mares were 29 and 2 in the backstretch. Starting a move from far back is Ebonita Hanover. She's 4 wide. Roe Julie is the leader at the top of the stretch, and Peace Corps on the outside making a bid for an unprecedented 4th Breeders' Crown title now takes over. Going down in history as one of the greatest of the 20th century, an unprecedented 60th lifetime win. Peace Corps wins the Breeders' Crown in 1:58 flat. Coming on to be second was Ebonita Hanover. Lady Orbitex third.
Another brilliant performance by the richest harness horse of all time. Peace Corps returning $2.30, $2.20 and $2.10. Ebonita Hanover was second, $4 and $2.10. Lady Orbitex $2.10 to show. The time of the mile, 1:58 flat.
And she shows her dominance over the world trotting mares, sitting outside of Roe Julie with impunity, coming on to win handily. An interesting commentary on what's happening with the older trotting mares is the fact that 6 of the 8 in the field are owned in Europe. The 2 U.S.-owned horses, Me Maggie and Ebonita Hanover, were racing in Europe and returned for this race.
The Big Breeders' Crown and Big Brothers Big Sisters have enjoyed a marvelous relationship. Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, the only national youth service organization based on a 1-to-1 relationship between an adult volunteer and a child. The champions of the future are the kids of today, and Breeders' Crown and Big Brothers Big Sisters are helping to bring them into the winner's circle. Mohawk Raceway, part of the Ontario Jockey Club circuit, and we're getting set for our final race of the evening live. It is the horse and gelding pace and a purse of $368,100. Here's a look at the complete field and the odds right now. Artsplace, the fastest horse of all time, 14 for 14 in the money this year, coupled in the wagering with odds against because of the common ownership, 1-9 right now. A large, prohibitive public choice. Second money going to Cam Luck at 7-1. He comes off the second fastest ever time trial, 1:48 and 4. Well, the horse and gelding pace has 7 horses competing, but there's only 5 trainers in this field. That's because respected trainer Bob McIntosh has assembled a dream team, an impressive trio of superstars. 2 years ago, a freshman phenom stole the show in the Breeders' Crown 2-year-old Colt Pace. Artsplace not only destroyed a tough group of pacers, but set a world record in the process. It was enough to propel the son of Abercrombie to a divisional championship for then trainer Gene Regal. Co-owner George Siegel was quick to praise.
Artsplace is the best. No comparison, no questions, the best.
At age 4, Artsplace has lived up to Siegel's accolades as he has gone undefeated in 14 starts, including the fastest race mile ever.
Artsplace has been pretty unbeatable all year long, and You know, I think the only thing that might get Artsplace beat is bad luck, actually. Artsplace is just as good now as he's been all year. Stayed very consistent, and he's good and fresh.
McIntosh also trains Cam Luck, the defending Breeders' Crown champion. Last week at the famous Red Mile in Lexington, this son of Cam fella time trial to the second fastest mile in history, 1:48 4/5, the clocking just 2/5 of a second off Matt Scooter's record.
He's awful sharp right now. I think he's about as good as he's ever been, so I think he's coming into the Crown in excellent condition.
And the final member of the McIntosh trio is Odds Against, who has hit the board in 17 of 18 starts this year, winning nearly $500,000.
And he's also been very consistent all year, and right now he seems to be just as good as he's been all year, so he's coming into it in excellent shape also.
So there's a look at Artsplace, the fastest horse of all time, 14 for 14 this year. He won the Breeders' Crown as a 2-year-old, and now as a 4-year-old, he is enjoying a marvelous season. So it's the horse and gelding pace coming up live from Mohawk Raceway. Can Artsplace make it 15 for 15? We'll find out shortly. There's Artsplace with driver John Campbell. Artsplace hasn't raced since September 20th. That's a long break for him, but trainer Robert McIntosh knows that this horse is ready tonight. Once again, let's look at the odds for the horse and gelding pace, the final live race on tonight's show. Artsplace and Odds Against now at 1-5. Cam Luck is getting plenty of support at 4-1. And Broussard is getting some support. He's 3 for 3 at Mohawk. He's been very sharp. He's won 4 of his last 5, and he won the Molson Export Pace at Western Fair in a track record time of 1:54.1, and Broussard is being held right now at 8-1. Bruce Beck along with Gary Seibel. And Gary, how does this shape race up in your mind?
Well, actually, Bruce, of course, Artsplace is the horse to beat here. But there are quite a few scenarios in this race. You have the speedball Cam Luck, of course, who was a stablemate of Artsplace, along with Odds Against. Who gets what spot early is going to be a big determining factor here, a huge factor, as a matter of fact. That first quarter should really tell the test. But no matter where you are, you don't want to be too far from Artsplace as they turn for home, because, indeed, he is the horse to beat here. Cam Luck, Odds Against, it makes for a great race. Of course, Cam Luck, the defending champion in the horse pace.
Stan Bergstein, there's an interesting story in this particular race. It involves Ultrajet.
Well, there are horses that you support with your head, like Artsplace, unbeaten in 14 starts this year, and horses that you support with your heart, like Ultrajet. 2 years ago, as a very promising young horse, he was being banned from Chicago to New York or to New Jersey to the Meadowlands, and a rotten board in the band floor gave way, and he fell through up to the middle of his leg, right rear leg, horribly injured. His groom, Greg Lucas, stayed with him for 4.5 hours until they got a veterinarian to extricate him. During the time they were trying to get his leg out, he was thrashing around in pain, damaged the leg seriously. Greg Lucas and the Cruz family, some of the best trainers in the business as far as taking care of horses, got this horse back to the races, and the tribute is that he's here tonight in the Breeders' Crown. He may not win, but he's a sentimental choice.
Stan, we talked about Ultrajet, but also Artsplace is a story, 14 for 14. Historically, what about the undefeated season and how it rates against some of the other great performances over the years?
There are very few horses go through free-for-all or the top level of competition unbeaten. Forrest Skipper did it a few years ago. 1969, a course called Overcall did it. And of course, you have to hark back to the days of the great Dan Patch at the turn of the century. No one could beat him. He finally retired just giving exhibitions. He was the greatest racehorse of that turn of the century and was the first great sports hero of the 20th century.
And the last horse to go undefeated in the season was Niatrust, 13 for 13 as a 2-year-old. Well, Gary Seibel, let's go back to you for a moment. How do you expect things to unfold right out of the gate?
Well, of course, Artsplace has the 4-post. I think there's going to be a lot of positioning early, as I mentioned, and I think Cam Luck should try to fire out of there as well. Cross County's got the rail. Cross County was very close last year in the Breeders' Crown, won his elimination, and just missed in the final. I think Cross County could be a factor here. But as I said, everybody's going to try to be following Artsplace. Artsplace, you can count on being at the top, on the top at some point in the mile, and most everybody's going to be trying to be close up to Artsplace.
The centerpiece of the evening, the horse and gelding pace. Once again, let's take a look at the post-time odds. 1-9 for Artsplace, and odds against, once again, coupled in the wagering. George Siegel and Brittany Farms, the common ownership there. 40-1 for Cross County. Ultrajet at 25-1. Broussard now up to 11-1, and Cam Luck still getting plenty of support at 9-2. Won the Breeders' Crown last year in the horse pace in 152-1. He went off at odds of 3-1.
It's a very, very difficult thing to keep a horse sharp from the start of a season to an entire campaign. It is a tribute to this horse and, of course, to his training ability, training that he would stay that sharp that he could remain unbeaten against this caliber of competition all year long. I look for Cam Luck and odds against his stablemates to be right there with him, however.
Driving Artsplace, John Campbell, who has dominated this Breeders' Crown Series. So they're getting set to go behind the moving starting gate. Once again, $368,000 in this race tonight. The horse and gelding pace of the Breeders' Crown.
Artsplace just a couple of $100,000 short of the $3 million mark in career earnings, and a win tonight puts him just about right there, making him the third richest pacer in the history of the sport. And tell you, watching him, Bruce, especially in the U.S. Pacing Championship on Hambletonian Day, this horse was absolutely fantastic. With John Campbell in the bike, what more could you ask for? Undefeated and John Campbell. It's the perfect combination.
There's a look at John Campbell. The world record here is 150-4. Was set by odds against at nearby Greenwood Raceway in 1991. The Mohawk track record is 151 flat, set by Matt Scooter in 1989. Gary talked about John Campbell. He has 19 wins in Breeders' Crown competition, 15 second-place finishes, and 12 third-place finishes. So Campbell certainly has dominated this event over the years. They're getting set to go as Artsplace right behind the gate and moving up. Artsplace could be one of the shortest prices ever in Breeders' Crown competition. And there's a good look at Artsplace getting set to go to post. Frank Salee will have the call here at Mohawk Raceway in Campbellville, Ontario, as Artsplace looks to make it 15 for 15. Here's the call.
Race, the 1992 Breeders' Crown for pacing horses and geldings, and there they go. They're off, and pacing Artsplace in the center of the track is making a bid for the lead, and Cross County is going to go with them. Ultrajet is tucking in from third, Broussard fourth, and then we're back to Arcane Hanover. Cam Luck in the early trailer is odds against Artsplace, and Cross County are dueling around the first turn. Artsplace on the outside. Cross County is carrying them around most of the first turn. Ultrajet in third, Broussard is fourth, and Artsplace prevails past the quarter in 27 seconds flat, and now Artsplace will get it his own way until challenged. Artsplace bringing him in front of the grandstand. Cross County is in second. Ultrajet remaining in third. Here comes Broussard. Broussard is sacrificing first up on the outside from fourth. Arcane Hanover takes the cover from fifth. Then up on the outside sixth, Cam Luck is going to be third over, and odds against is on the rail in seventh. Four of them on the inside, three on the outside. Artsplace passing the half for John Campbell in 57-1. Getting a very easy second quarter of 30-1, and Artsplace takes him into the backstretch and is accelerating. He's got the wind at his back now, and at the rail in second for the pocket trip is Cross County. Broussard laboring first over. Ultrajet is fourth. Arcane Hanover outside five. Cam Luck is on the outside sixth. Odds against is seventh. Artsplace has nobody to within an open length of him. Cross County from second. Broussard on the outside third. Ultrajet is fourth. Then fifth, Arcane Hanover. Three wide, six goes Cam Luck. The third marker in 1:24-4. That was a 27-3 backstretch for Artsplace, and Artsplace is an eighth of a mile away from 15 in a row this year and a second Breeders' Crown. Artsplace is looking truly invincible. Another amazing sight. He's pouring it on under wraps. Artsplace wins the Breeders' Crown in 1:52. Broussard staged for second. Cam Luck was third.
15 for 15 for Artsplace. He last lost a race October 25th, 1991. What a marvelous season he's had. The 4-year-old horse by Abercrombie, the Albatross mare, Miss Elvira. And John Campbell piloting Artsplace impressively to the first place finish.
Cross County looked like he wanted to give him a go around that first turn, but as they turn for home, it is indeed all Artsplace. You can see John Campbell just sitting there. He's got the lines in his hands, and that's about it. Just checking a little bit the field behind him, but Artsplace with those powerful strides to the wire comes on and wins it easily in 52 flat, Bruce, which means the last half in, if I'm correct, 54-4.
He won the Driscoll final, the Molson Export Pacing Series final, the U.S. Pacing Championship, the American National, the Senior Jug, a world champion at 2, 3, and 4, and now his second Breeders' Crown, Stan.
Well, there's an amazing triumph here also for George Siegel, who is the owner, along with Brian Moneson, of Artsplace. Siegel is also the owner of Odds Against, and he also has Western Hanover, who won 2 legs of the Triple Crown, 2 jewels of the Triple Crown for 3-year-olds. An amazing season for George Siegel.
We'll take a short break, and we'll be back. Artsplace winning the horse and gelding pace at Mohawk Raceway in the Breeders' Crown, the 20th victory for John Campbell in Breeders' Crown competition, and the first time he's ever won this particular race. And John joins us now just outside of the winner's circle. John, what a marvelous year, first of all, for Artsplace. Can you put it in perspective for us?
He's just a fantastic horse. You just go along for the ride, and he does all the work, and it's a thrill every time you drive him.
What about his fluidity tonight and his power?
Well, he's as good tonight as he's been all year, and that's a testament to what Bob's done with him to keep him at this level, and he's still as strong or stronger than ever tonight.
John, on the subject of the race itself, 27 opening quarter, tested there a little bit around the first turn. You took the lead, backed it off, 30-1 second quarter, and then the horse pretty much did it the rest on his own, 54-4 last half.
Well, once he gets to the half, he relaxes real good the second quarter, and as soon as he hits the half, he just picks up the bit, and he likes to roll that third quarter. And once he starts rolling, he's never stopped. He's never been beat when he's been on the front.
I'd like to say best horse you've ever driven, but you'd reserve part of that for Mac Lobel. This is the best pace you've ever driven, possibly?
No question about it. For a horse to race at his level for 3 years in a row, it's just incredible.
John, let's go back to the duel at the start for a minute. Artsplace and Cross County.
Well, I knew Cross County had a lot of gate speed. I've raced against him a lot, and Art is actually better when you fire him out of the gate fast. And if he gets down to the first quarter, right around 27 or even a little better, that's when he's at his best.
He almost needs a challenge to really motivate him.
Well, you got to motivate him out of the gate, and it gets him into the race when he goes that first quarter fast. And then once he makes the front, he just relaxes, and then as soon as he hits the backstretch, he just picks up the bit again.
Even though he had post 6, did you expect to see Cam Luck, and were you surprised when you didn't up front early?
Well, it's hard to leave against a horse like Artsplace because he can go whether you go to the half in 55 or 57. It doesn't matter. And if he's inside of you, it's going to take a lot out of you. So I really didn't know what to expect from the outside horses.
John Campbell, congratulations. Another great drive. We wish you the best.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
Great going, John.
So John Campbell pilots Artsplace. He said it was kind of easy. You just get on for the ride and let him fire. And that's exactly what Artsplace did tonight. Another terrific performance. The final time, 152 flat. Been a big night of racing here at Mohawk. We'll take a short break. In just a couple of moments, we'll recap the evening for you. But Artsplace, in terms of the prices, $2.30 and $2.10. Broussard second, $2.10. Cam Luck was third. There was no show wagering. The time of the miles we mentioned, 152 flat. Artsplace in the winner's circle. He's used to be there. And we'll take a short break, and we'll come back with some final thoughts in a moment.
No matter what kind of sportsman your horse is, all breeds have one thing in common: sports-related injuries. Introducing a revolutionary new magnetic therapy for injuries most common to the equine athlete from Norfield's Health Products. Whether it's for maintenance or trying to get your equine athlete back into competition, Equine Line drug-free pads will save you time and money. The Norfield's Equine Line magnetic therapy, penetrating deep into muscle tissue, stops pain and increases the blood supply and oxygen to the injured area to help speed nature's healing process. Eliminate costly and obsolete remedies. Come into the 90s with Norfield's Equine Line. Norfield's Equine Line magnetic therapy products work for all breeds and speeds healing. Equine Line saves you time and money that will put you back into the competition and winning fast. Join the list of top trainers satisfied with Norfield's. Call today to order yours. 1-800-344-8400.
They'll push harder, making competition tougher than ever when the best of the best sprint for IndyCar's richest prize, the $1 million All-Star Marlboro Challenge, Sunday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Welcome back to Mohawk Raceway. An awesome performance tonight again by Artsplace, and George Siegel, the owner of Artsplace, joins us. And first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
When you look back at his 4-year-old campaign, what comes to your mind?
Undefeated so far. Great horse. Redeemed himself for a great but not super great year last year, and he's just one of the greatest horses of all time.
You said you wanted to pay tribute to some of your connections involved with Artsplace.
Well, first of all, Bob McIntosh has done a fabulous job with this horse. He's got him looking great and racing to the top of his game, and Campbell's driven him perfectly all year, and the groom has done a great job.
What's next now? You're still undefeated. Are you going to continue for the rest of the year?
Well, we're going to race him in Edmonton in the Stuart Fraser, and that should be his last race.
All right, so you hope to finish undefeated after that Edmonton race. We wish you the best of luck, George. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
George Siegel, the owner of Artsplace, another stirring performance here at Mohawk Raceway this evening. Well, it's been a big night of racing, and we want to review what has transpired here at Mohawk. This the 91st, 92nd, 93rd, and 94th Breeders' Crown events. Shady Daisy, the winner of the mare pace. True vindication for her. Finally got the gold medal. She has proved to be the best mare pacer in North America. She returned 230 and 210. Mafi was second, 220, and Sarah Lauren Road finished third. There was no show wagering. In the mare trot, Peace Corps set a new standard tonight with her 4th Breeders' Crown triumph. Time of the mile, 1:58 flat. Peace Corps driven to victory by Torbjorn Janssen, and returning 230, 220, and 210. Evanita Hanover, $4 and 210. Lady Orbitex, 210 to show. Time of the mile, 1:58 flat. Then in the horse trot, it was Canada's No Sex Please, driven to victory by Ron Waples for his son, Ron Waples Jr. 2nd Breeders' Crown for No Sex Please. Time of the mile, 1:56 and 4. No Sex Please went off at even money and returned $4 for the win. Charlie Tenhitch was second. Out of Ketchup finished third. And just a couple of moments ago, you saw the awesome victory by Artsplace, now 15 for 15 on the season. Artsplace and John Campbell reached the winner's circle once again, and it was another short price, 230 and 210. Broussard second, 210, and Cam Luck finished third. There was no show wagering. Time of the mile, 1:52. Well, Gary Seibel, it has been a terrific night. First of all, what comes to mind for you?
Well, of course, the last performance by Artsplace and the second performance in the aged mare trot by Peace Corps. She's proven once again, becomes the first 4-time winner of the Breeders' Crown. And as she started to come to the wire, everybody just started applauding, because this is one of the great mares of all time. And Artsplace now stamping himself as one of the great free-for-allers of all time as well.
Stan, a lot of short prices tonight, but that usually means quality in the field.
The highlight of the night to me, however, Bruce, was Shady Daisy. When she went through the auction ring as a yearling, there were no bids. Ron Jackson, her owner, took her back because of it. Fate plays a big role in racing.
Well, as a 2-year-old, Artsplace battled Die Laughing and won. As a 3-year-old, he battled Precious Bunny and lost. Now as a 4-year-old, he battled Immortality and won. The Breeders' Crown has been brought to you by Norfields, whose magnetic therapy products can put your equine athlete back on track. And by Old Spice Antiperspirant. For great odor protection, now you've got proof, not promises. So Artsplace wins and remains undefeated. And don't forget, still more Breeders' Crown action coming up on Friday, October 23rd from Pompano Beach, Florida, and on Friday, November 6th from Northfield Park in Ohio. The Breeders' Crown Series continues. For Stan Bergstein and Gary Seibel, I'm Bruce Beck. Good night from Mohawk.